So this building in the bottom left corner has some messiness to it that I think we can correct. And where the messiness is coming from is how it's built with lots of different pieces. And so I'm going to look first at the original picture and see that this building is just totally different than the original photograph, which is not a problem because we're not comparing your work to the original photograph. It just means that rather than recommending things based off of that photograph, we're just going to look at how we can make this building, such as it is, look better. So the first thing I'm noticing that looks weird about it is this white scarring stuff. And the reason that's happening is because this is a different piece, and we have like these up top here. And I think the best solution to this is actually just to delete this piece and try to figure out how we can better use the stuff that you actually have here. What I want to do is I'm going to hit undo so we can get that back into its spot. So the bones of this whole shape, this whole building right here, is this layer 60. So what I want to do, I'm going to turn off this white layer. I just want to fix layer 60. Because I also see that over here, these don't line up very well. And when I tried to trim layer 68 using the rectangle tool, and I'm using the rectangle tool because this is just a straight vertical line, I see that now we're left with the white, and it just ends up being a little bit messy. So rather than trimming this, I'm just going to use the rectangle tool to add to layer 60. I'm going to go a little bit bigger than layer 60. I want the marching ants to go off the page, so I'm going to nudge it down. Okay, and now I'm going to use the eyedropper tool. It's over here. The shortcut is the letter I to make sure I get the right color. And then I'm going to just fill this in. Undo because I filled it in on the wrong layer. We want to fill this in on layer 60. So let's get to layer 60. I'm just going to get the move tool. We want to hit this. This will jump us. Where's layer 60? Layer 60 is right here. Okay. And instead of using the paint bucket, I'm going to go to fill and hit OK. So now we have a much neater outside structure of the building. And I got that using the rectangle tool. Now there is some strangeness happening with the white. And really what's happening here is it's not strangeness with the white, it's the lines, the grid lines you have some weird pixeling to them. So I think the solution here might just be, instead of having everything, you have it in 3 pieces. You have layer 60, which is the bones, then you have the vertical and the horizontal, and you have the white. What might be easier is if instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4 things, you just had the white. So I'm going to make a new grid. I'm going to use the rectangle tool. And I'm going to do this based off of your work. And now I want to subtract. And I'm just using the rectangle tool because I think that's the easiest thing to do when we're looking at something so straightforward. I'm going to hit Command Z because that wasn't good. Okay, and then I'm just using your grid to create this new one. So those are the horizontal lines. Now we can get the vertical ones. And what we're going to be left with is the space that you've made white. So I'm just going all the way to the end. Now you could do this with the polygon lasso tool. Generally, the reason to use the polygon lasso tool is if you're not looking right head on to something, because the rectangle tool will only give you something that you are looking directly at. But this building that you've made really is, like, we're looking directly at it, so we may as well just use the rectangle. Okay, Now that we have this, I'm going to make a layer on top of layer 60. I'm also going to turn layer 17 off and layer 18 off, layer 19 and layer 68. Those are all the pieces. You had those windows made out of all of these different shapes, but really you could just do it on one layer. I'm going to choose this gray over here, second to white, and just fill it all in. Now we have the same basic principle, but it's a lot more, it's a little less complicated. Now if we wanted, this would be a perfect situation to try the offsetting technique. You could offset it 1 pixel. I'm going to offset it by holding down Option and then nudging it over. Now I've just made layer 71 copy, and I'm nudging it over. I'm going to hit Command. So now I've just selected everything. I'm actually going to hit deselect because what I want to do is select the color that I want to select, the one that's underneath. That's the one I'm going to recolor. And I'm going to recolor it really slightly. Edit, fill. And let's see if this did anything. I don't know how noticeable it will be. It's really not very noticeable at all. It's so unnoticeable it's not even necessarily worth doing. So I'm going to undo. Let's get back. And I'm going to make it a little darker because there's no point in adding something that you can't even see. There we go. Deselect. Now that's on layer 71. We want the dark shape to be underneath. So let's try this one more time. I am on layer 71. I'm filling in with this darker color. Let's see. There we go. Now you can see it better. We're going to nudge layer 71 copy over. There we go. And this works because we're only offsetting it in one direction. Once you start offsetting in 2 directions, now they don't line up and then you'd have to trim them. But we're only offsetting it in the horizontal direction, so it works pretty well. Now we have this nice building in 3 layers instead of in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. I'm going to delete these, and there you go.